Hello my loves, we are back with a new video. It's a book video, thank fuck for it. This month has been an incredible reading month. Incredible. And it's not over yet because I am going to read another book today. I'm filming this on Friday, so you know, technically I've read 8 books, but I've got 7 to talk about. The first 2 I do not have on me. Oh, this is a angle and a half. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I read Dune and Dune Messiah, and I know what you're thinking. You were stan, like, of the movie. Yeah, and I never intended to read the books because they were so thick that they scared me. And it just so happened that Folio Society wanted to send them to me. So I was like, sure, free books, like, yeah, gimme. And they were such gorgeous covers that I just couldn't say no anyway. And I was going to take them regardless of reading them. They currently are with my boyfriend because he's a nerd and he loves Dune as well. He's going to read them. He absolutely loves the covers. I rated both of them 4.5, and I know people are going to be like, what the fuck is the point? I will explain, just give me a moment. So the reason I gave them 4.5, 1, Dune, the first book, the ending, I'm livid. 2, what is going on in the House of Commons? In a way, like, I enjoyed reading it so much, like way more than I thought I was going to, and I also thought it was going to be way more complex than it was. But I do think I understood most of it because of the movies. And also it made me realize how amazing Denis did a job on that with directing and creating the movies. And how accurate the casting and everything was. But the story itself annoys me so much. Like, it's so good, but it annoys the fuck out of me. And I'm gonna say some spoilers, so skip ahead by 1.5 minutes, max, probably. But this idea of him having to marry another woman, albeit he does absolutely fuck all with her, like, he literally hates her, for like political reasons, yet no one believes it. Everyone knows he's with Chani, they have children, and even the political people, like the people that they are mingling with, know that it's fake. Like, what? It just seems very pointless, and the people don't give a fuck about that. So it felt like a stupid like dramatic input that just was unnecessary. Saying that, I enjoyed reading it, so that's why I gave them both a 4.5. I think they were incredible, but I just, 1, the first book, I hated the ending, fuck that. 2, I don't know, it just felt like some parts were like, this is just like, this dude's just writing this for fun. He's not taking this seriously whatsoever. He just wants like everyone to like cry and die, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it. And also the ending again was just like meh. But it was like, I loved reading it, it was good to read, but I just don't know what to say to you guys, really. You know? Then, which one did I read first? Actually, I think I read that first. I read The End We Start From. Actually, Book Break sent this to me. And they sent me to go see the film as well, and the film was so good, but also this book was so good. I don't like, and I've put this in my post with them and I've been honest, and they've used it as an ad and everything. I don't like books that are written non-traditionally. So this is like literally a sentence. Like, it's the structure and the format is really untraditional. So I find it really hard to read books that are written in non-traditional structures and forms, unless, I mean, again, this is what I mean, like, it depends, like, how it's done. So for example, I loved the Book of Difficult Fruit, but I didn't like Girl is a Half-Formed Thing. They're both written kind of untraditionally. This is very untraditional in the way that it's structured. This is by Megan Hunter, and I loved this. I think the way it was written actually really benefited the story, and I usually don't feel that way about books written like this. And despite, like, you don't, in the movie, in the book, you do not know the woman's name. She is literally called the woman when she is referred to by the cast members and everything. So she has no name, despite not knowing her name, despite everyone being like, in this book they are represented by letters, so Z, R, O. Despite all of that, you initially think that you're going to lose track or it's going to get confusing, but it doesn't. And that's what I love about this book. Like, it's so to the point, and you know everything that's happening, even though it's so minimal in its description, and the atmosphere is completely set. And I absolutely loved it. It was so good. It was so good. And I usually don't really love thrillers, dystopian kind of stuff, unless it's like a fantasy, and this isn't a fantasy. So again, a book that I picked, like, again, it was sent to me, but I picked it up, that I surprisingly really liked. I think I gave this a 4. It was really good. Then this, again, someone sent this to me and I cannot remember who it was. It might have been Vintage Books. Yeah, it was Vintage Books. It says at the back. So Vintage Books sent me this. This is Wild Houses by Colin Barrett. I've never heard of Colin Barrett, never heard of Megan Hunter. These are, don't know about the end we start from, but this one was an arc. So this was sent to me before it came out. I think it's come out now this month. I really, 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 really expected to read this and hate it, because it's about, and this is no spoilers, but it's about, like, drugs and, like, a gang in a sense, and there's, like, one woman in it. Well, I say woman, she's a girl, and it's not the kind of thing I read. If I read a drama, it's usually like a women's fiction or a contemporary fiction or a romance or something. So this is, again, very out of my reading comfort zone. But it was the first 5 that I read this month. I was so shocked. The first quarter, maybe first third of this book, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. I was like, I'm gonna hate this, and I can't sell it because it says free proof copy, you're not allowed to sell it. So I was like, I sell all the books that I don't like, and I was like, I can't even sell this, and it's just gonna sit on my shelves, and I'm gonna hate it, and I'm gonna look at it and remember that I hated it. But no, it was so good. I don't think you should pick this up if you think you're gonna pick up a book and be like, oh, I love these characters so much, I'm so attached. No, to put it simply, it's just a very good storyline. It's very simple, and I think what I'm finding is that simple storylines are the way to go, unless it's like a series, because that's valid. But in one singular novel, this simple storyline is so good. It reminds me very much so of a British TV drama show, minus the cringe and minus the bad acting and minus everything I hate. So it was just it was well written and in a way realistic. I mean, it was realistic. And if you start this and you think, oh, I'm gonna hate this, like the way these men talk, I fucking can't stand these kinds of people. You know, I don't care about drugs, I don't want to read about drugs, I don't want to read about the gangs and blah, blah, blah. There's no romance really at all. You know, it's the furthest thing from what I would usually pick up. But it was just really well written. I just really loved it. I think that's the only way I can put it. Look, the way I rate books, I said this to my friend the other day. 5, immaculate, amazing, I'll read it again. Doesn't mean it's a literary piece of history, right? It's just, I loved it and I would read it again. 4 is like incredible, but just missed the mark. 3 is, it's okay. Yeah, that's all right. It's okay. It was a decent read. 2 is absolutely trash, fuck this shit. And 1 is, oh my God, burn it. So there you go. That's my rating system. Then I read, oh my God, this one. If I could rate books above a 5, out of 5, I would for this book. This book, Door to Door Bookstore by Karsten Henn. When I saw this book was suggested to me, I think it was by Goodreads, because I read The Days of the Murasaki Bookshop and Before the Coffee Gets Cold. If you like those books, you will love this book. Less coffee is involved, much less coffee is involved, but pure books is involved. I cannot begin to express how much I fucking love this book. My review of this book on all the book apps that I use and review books, this is what I said, and I think it's the best way to describe this book. I said that when I was a child and I read books, I remember this feeling of books being otherworldly and opening up like this entire new plane of existence, and it, to put it simply, was magical. It felt like a magical experience when you read, and also when you're a child, you know, your imagination, and you get it. But I kind of gave the excuses growing up, like, things are obviously going to be different because you're an adult. Your brain functions in a completely different way. The imagination is not what it used to be. You know reality now, kind of thing. But this book made me feel the way I did as a child reading. I was so immersed. I was so in love with the characters. And the characters that you hate in the book, you hate. And the characters that you love. And it reminded me of, like, all the little things that I love. Like, there's a little girl in it, which you know from the cover, there's a little girl in it. She really reminded me of, what was that book? Was it Madeline? I think it was Madeline. She just reminded me of that character, which I used to love as a kid. And then there's also like loads of different other characters that you kind of briefly meet, and that reminded me of like all the Agatha Christie, Murder, She Wrote, Columbo kind of thing, because it was kind of like not a mystery, but like a dramatic, like, oh, there's this character and this neighbor, and I was like, oh my God, I love this so much. And then the characters are also so flawed and realistic, and you just love them for what they are or hate them for what they are. And it just, I read it in like a day. I meant to like read it over a few days, but I couldn't. I had to read it in a day. I loved it. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. It's the best way to describe it to someone else is it's a cozy read. But it felt like this book was written for me. So that was another 5 if you couldn't tell. Then we get into the bullshit of this month. I don't know how I feel about this book whatsoever. It's called A Not So Meet Cute. It's quite a big book by Megan Quinn. It's rated like 4.5 on Goodreads. So I thought, it's an ugly as fuck cover, but I trust the people, you know, reviewing it. No, I do not. If any of you review anything ever again in your lives, I'm never trusting it, ever. Here's the thing. It had all the components of a romance, of a perfect romance, of a romance book that I love, of a cliche romance. It had everything of a cliche romance. Fake dating. Well, fake fiance, you know. And he hates everyone but her. Grumpy versus sunshine. You know the vibes. Rich dude. She's not so rich, but she's a girl boss. You see what it has the tropes. Guys, I need to discuss this. I'm horrified because I enjoyed like a good 75% of this book. The other 25% was so questionable. For half the book, he treats her like shit. And my friend described it in a perfect way. She was like, it's a bully romance. It's like the first half, he treats her like shit, and he constantly has the excuse of, this is a business deal, like, you're not really my fiance, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, have you heard of basic human kindness? Like, holy shit. Even the main character, the female, says that several times, and it gets a little bit too repetitive because the same thing happens over and over. He treats her like shit, that he opens up a bit, she kind of falls for him, and then it's a repeat, and it's like, okay, I'm tired. But also, the sister is Delulu because she keeps saying to her sister, the main character, oh, you should like understand him more, like you should give him a chance, like he seems like a really good guy. What out of him bullying your sister makes him seem like a really good guy? Oh my god, if I utter my ex's names around my sister, she's jail time, she'll be in jail. Like, what? Anyway, I could look past that. Because obviously it developed and progressed from there. But then near the end, and I don't know how I feel about this whatsoever, I don't. Near the end, there's like literally in like the last page, there is a smutty scene. I mean, this is a very smutty book, and I love that, that's slay. Where she has sex with him whilst he's asleep. And it's clear he hasn't given permission, because he gives permission afterwards for her to do it again. So he enjoyed it, obviously, cool. But doing that in the first place makes you a very questionable human. And writing that makes me feel like you were a very questionable human. Like, if it's something you've consented to prior, chill, slay. But the fact that you wrote it as he did not consent the first time, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know whether I throw this away and burn it, or if I like it. I gave it a 3 because, like I said, 75% of this book was perfect. The other 25%, I'm like, what the fuck? So I gave it a 3 because I was stuck and I don't know. And my friend said it was generous, and she's right. But I was just, I don't know what to do with it. And I just don't even want to talk about it. I'm still stuck. I don't even want to look at it. But obviously, this is something else I wanted to show you guys. My best friend for Christmas got me a MIACAVEN book stamp. So if a book gets the stamp, it's accepted in this house. This has obviously not gotten the fucking stamp because I'm confused. And then this piece of shit. Oh, Christ. The Grip of It by 𝙃𝙚𝙧𝙖𝙃. That's some weird name. But anyways. Yeah, what the fuck? Okay. I saw it. People gave it okay reviews on social media. Then when I went to look at it on Goodreads, it had like a 3. And I was like, okay. Well, it's on its way now. I fucked up, but it's fine. I don't like horrors. I don't like thrillers. I don't like reading them. I don't like watching them. They're not my thing. I don't get it. No. The Grip of It. It's basically about a house. If you can't tell, there's a house on the front. And essentially it's haunted. But they have a neighbor that's weird, and then drawings that appear in their house and they don't know who's doing it, and they both go insane and crazy, and everyone in the town knows that it's haunted or whatever, but you never really find out what it is. It was so fucking pointless and boring. I'm so sorry. I hate being rude to authors because I'm like, I want to be an author one day, and imagine someone saying this about my book, but I'm so sorry. The plot in itself is an interesting concept. That's why I originally got it, because I was like, okay, I can fuck with that. It doesn't sound like it's too fucking scary or too depressing. So yeah, I'll do it. That was a mistake because it was so one note. It was one note. Imagine someone speaking in one note, one tone for their entire lives. That's what reading this was like. It dragged and it dragged and it dragged and it dragged. It was easy to read because it was simply written, but that also doesn't mean it was badly written, because it wasn't. It was just very badly executed of a good concept. So I gave this a 2.5 because it wasn't badly written, but it was like, this is shit. I would never pick this up again. So this one is being sold. And today I will be picking up Truly Italian Roots, the 𝙁𝙗 coffee book. They sent it to me, so I will be reading that, and I'll probably just take a day. So yeah, 8 books essentially this month, possibly 9 if I finish the 𝙁𝙗 one today. I gave myself for this new year like the goal of do not read like structurally. I kept saying to myself like last year, try and read a book over 4 days, like pace yourself in a way, but that limited me so much, so hence why I'm starting to read more. I didn't realize I would read more. I thought I would read less, because I thought like I was giving myself like a good time structure. I read this in a day, this I read in 4 days, this I read in a day, 4 days, 4 days. So I naturally, like, if I don't really fuck with something, or if it's quite like a lot to take in, I'll read it in 4 days. Usually that's my average. But like if I love something, I'm just reading it, and I literally finish those in a day. Same with the Dunes. I read those in 4 days because they were just too big. I was like, I cannot do this. But yeah, I have loved this month of reading for the most part, and I am excited for a lot of books to come. I've got a really good physical, albeit kind of small, TBR at the moment, and a very massive, overwhelming digital TBR. So yeah, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.